There are moments in life when we believe that simply saving will secure our future. We cling to coins and bills as if they were anchors of safety, only to discover that they slip through our fingers like water. This is the story of a grandfather who learned painfully that money stored away without purpose slowly dies. He was once known throughout his village as a lazy man, not lazy because he did nothing at all, but because he dreamed far more than he acted. He spent his days beneath the shade of a tree, speaking of businesses he would start, of land he would buy, of cattle he would raise. "One day," he would always say, "I'll open a store. I'll make money without sweat." But that day never came. The villagers no longer mocked him. They pitied him. His wife sighed in exhaustion, reminding him that dreams do not feed a family, but he always replied the same way. "We'll see. Someday, I'll find the way." Years passed, and the only thing that grew was need. One night, his grandson, barefoot and hungry, asked for bread. The pantry was empty, there was nothing to give. That night the old man could not sleep. For the first time he realized that his words could not be eaten. His dreams could not fill a stomach. And so, the next morning, he did what he had always despised. He went to work as a laborer in the cotton fields. The change was brutal. From sitting in the shade, he now bent under a burning sun. His hands, once soft, blistered and cracked. His back ached, his legs trembled, every muscle burned to the bone. And while sweat poured into his eyes, he muttered, "This is worse than laziness. This is a chain." At night, he returned home, bent over, older than his years. His wife served beans and tortillas, never more than two. His grandson would run to him, eyes wide, asking, "What did they give you, Grandpa?" The old man would look at his paycheck, count the letters on the paper, as if searching for more, and whisper, "It's little, son, but it's something." But that money disappeared quickly. Old debts devoured it. Taxes took their share, a bag of corn, a little beans, some cheap coffee, and the rest was gone. His grandson lined up the remaining coins on the table, counting them one by one. "And this is all?" he would ask. The grandfather pressed his lips tight. Yes, this was all. Then, one afternoon, in the village store, he overheard men speaking loudly. "The secret is to save. Whoever saves always has." Those words clung to his mind. That night he found a glass jar, cleaned it, held it against the lamplight and hid it beneath the bed. Week, after buying only the bare minimum, he tossed in a coin or a wrinkled bill. The clinking sound of metal falling echoed like a promise. Every time he heard it, he believed he was securing the future. But saving came at a cost. His boots opened at the toes, yet he said, "They'll last another month." Rain poured through holes in the roof, soaking the table, but he insisted, "It will hold another storm." The pantry grew emptier, the bread smaller, the milk scarcer. His wife finally confronted him. "Old man, what use is saving if we starve?" He did not raise his eyes. He only dropped another coin into the jar. "It's for our good. Someday you'll understand." Months passed. The jar grew heavy with coins and bills. The old man held it at night, cradling it like a treasure. Finally, one day he placed it proudly on the table. "Look, son," he said to his grandson, "here lies our security." The boy's eyes widened. "How many sacks of corn can we buy?" "3, maybe 4, the old man answered with certainty. Together, they carried the jar to the market. His steps were slow, but his heart beat with pride. At last his effort would prove itself. At the merchant's stall, he placed the money carefully on the counter. 3 sacks of corn, please." The man counted quickly, eyes indifferent. "Not enough, old man. Prices have gone up. With this, you barely buy 1.5 sacks." The old man froze. His grandson stared at him, confused. The jar, once heavy with hope, shrank in an instant. He carried home 1.5 sacks, his heart crushed. That night he poured the coins onto the table. They fell dry and lifeless, like stones. He counted and recounted, as if by miracle they might multiply. But they never did. His wife watched in silence. His grandson whispered, "Grandpa, what's the point of saving?" The old man could not answer. Days grew bitter. He had no strength for the fields. At home, the food vanished quicker each week. He thought of surrendering, of giving up altogether. Until one morning, sitting on the porch, he saw a neighbor passing by. The man carried a basket of eggs, clean and white, walking proudly to the village. Soon after, another passed, with bottles of fresh milk clinking together. Neither spoke of checks, nor jars, nor savings. They carried goods that fed, goods that produced. And suddenly, like an echo, the old man remembered the words of his grandson. What if instead of saving money, we bought chickens? That idea, once dismissed as childish, now lit a spark inside him. He took what little remained in the jar, went to the market and returned with a few thin, nervous hens. At first they gave only 1 or 2 eggs. The grandmother divided them carefully into 3 parts. Sometimes they sold one to a neighbor for a few coins, enough to buy another hen. Slowly, the yard filled with clucking. The boy ran after the hens, laughing. The grandmother gathered eggs in a basket. Neighbors began to come. "Old man, sell me a dozen. Will you have more tomorrow?" The old man, who once knew only laziness and empty savings, now kept a crooked notebook. He scribbled numbers, made mistakes, but tracked every egg, every sale. One afternoon, holding an egg in his hand as if it were a miracle, he said to his grandson, "This is worth more than a jar full of notes, because this feeds us, multiplies, and never loses its value. Money saved dies, but when you make it produce, it gives life." The boy hugged him tightly. Tears filled the old man's eyes. "I was lazy before, then I was chained to useless savings, but now I see, only what produces truly sustains." From that day, the jar stayed empty beneath the bed, forgotten like his old illusions. And whenever someone in the village spoke about saving, the old man would smile and point to his yard, alive with hens and eggs. "Saving money is like holding water in your hands," he would say. "It always slips away. Make it work. Even if you begin with 1 chicken, let it grow. Because only then will life truly flourish."